I think so too. So we're just talking about the program, a couple of programs that you got going, Matt. So you've got the ankle program, you've got the social media program. They were the only two big ones that you're starting off at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, for the most part. There's as usual, I have a whole bunch of things stewing in my mind, but trying not to get pulled in too many different directions. The social media course is going on right now, so that's my biggest focus is giving everybody a really good experience there and helping people grow. And it's interesting because I learn a lot as I go through, partly because me condensing all my thoughts and trying to give it to people is a really good exercise. And how well do you really know all the stuff that I think I know? But then also in me wanting to give as much knowledge to people, I inevitably go and research more and learn more and try more things to filter out ideas I may not have had before. So I learn a lot like that, and I actually really enjoy that because it's a hard thing to do on your own, to just keep learning and trying to find different things and explain it to yourself. But when you have the sort of the pressure to do it really well for other people and kind of cover all your bases, and you get questions in and ideas from people in the course, it's a really interesting thing. And then that kind of flows into the ankle program. Obviously I'm coming out with that because I want to help people with their ankles, but also I think it's a really good experience that I can add into the course of how people can build a product and how you can sell it, and you can create the funnels and you do the marketing and sales and all of that. And then I can help people with that even more there. So that's kind of a cool to kill two birds with one stone in helping people with their ankles and building that knowledge base to expand my offering for people going through the course. And then lots of things can go on from there, but don't want to get too ahead of myself.
Yeah. It's so with the ankle program that you've got going on, are you pretty much going from experience? Is that where you're coming from? Like, obviously you've experienced quite a bit with your ankles, and then obviously the rest of your body too. But are you taking your experience from the ankle pains and the ankle issues that you experienced when you're playing football in particular, and just kind of feeding that through? And is it almost like you're like to a certain way practicing what you're preaching by helping people practice that way? Is that pretty much how the ankle program's been running?
Yeah, generally it's like it won't be exactly what I did through the process of like getting my ankles better, because I was learning things through it, and like I gradually found things that were working and put it together. But it's basically the culmination of the ideas that got me to where I am out of the chronic issues and into feeling really good. So it's more condensed. I took out all the stupid things I did, like a lot of the pushing it too hard, because that was always the worst. Once I figured out how important the calf strength was, it's like, all right, cool. So I would do like a seated good morning and a standing calf raise superset, and I would be like, all right, do 5 supersets, and me thinking more calf strength is better. It was like, all right, I'm going to do 5 AMRAPs. So like 5 sets of as many standing calf raises on one leg as I could do. And inevitably, every time that would flare it up. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. Like every time I did that, it would be worse for a couple of days. So don't have that in there. But yeah, generally it's like what fixed me put into a more succinct program over 12 or so weeks with some different processes I put together. So
how have you found like, so the program length is 12 weeks. Have you played around? So like at the moment I'm having a run with Graham Tuttle's program, ready to run. Like I saw it popping up and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to check this out, because having the cleat feet that I have, it's not going to do me any harm. And I just really wanted to check out what another program looks like. I don't know whether you've seen it before. But the amount of information that he pops into his emails every single day, and the workouts that he's got connected to YouTube with the videos, the links, and then the copious amounts of details and data that he has when he's sending it out to you. It's incredible how much of it is like so valuable. But I was curious, like, so you're doing it as a 12-week program. Have you played around with like Graham's, I think it's 28 days. There's a couple of like 25 days, a month programs. Do you, or have you had a think about it at all, or a thought as to like, all right, 12 weeks is probably going to be the best, or maybe I can do like an introduction offer and just go for the month or something like that? What have you found has worked well?
Yeah, so I did do Graham's. I've done Graham's course twice, actually. I think I did the second one ever, and then I did the fourth one maybe. I think, and it was great. It's great. Graham's awesome. I talk to him every once in a while, but 28 days is a good length for what he does. So Keegan asked me this question when I told him the first time I was doing the ankle program. He's like, is it just like Graham's program? And the way I was like, no, first of all. The way I described it was Graham does a really good job with your feet and your toes and getting them working again, but he doesn't really get into so much of like the structural changing and strengthening of the ankle. As far as when I was doing it, maybe it's a little bit different now, but I described it to Keegan as Graham's program was kind of like zero, and I was more in like the denser standards, to put it in ATG terms. Like zero is awesome and it's really good and people are going to get great results on it. But if you want to make those like structural changes and really take your ability to the next level, I think that's what I was putting together. Because I have the weighted calf raises, seated calf raises, tib raises, isometric holds with weight. And you're starting to get into like Peterson step ups with weight, or without it if you're not there yet. But I think that's what I focus a little bit more on, the strength aspect. So I do have the foot and the toe stuff, which is a lot of sort of neurological things at the beginning, especially getting it going. And you can get through that relatively quickly, 4 weeks or so. And then it's just maintenance. So I have that. In the beginning, that's heavily put in there to get you to those levels. But then once you're there, it's like we'll do a little bit just to maintain it, but you don't need to do 3 months straight of like heavy, a ton of like getting your toes moving. Like once they're moving and they're splayed back out, then you're like, in my mind, I don't think you need to do a ton with that as long as you maintain it.
Yeah. So Graham's Ready to Run course is very similar to that, the way that you explained it, just then the zero and then the dense. And it's every day as well. So it comes out as an email. It's day 1, day 10, day 12, day whatever else there is. And it is focused heavily on like getting dexterity back in your toes and feet and movement, because it'd be more so like an introduction phase almost into what you said with what you do. You've got that first 4 weeks where it's like that's your introduction phase into actually getting your feet moving again, getting the blood flow flowing, and like I said, getting that dexterity back in your feet and actually moving them so they're not stuck like hooves, like horses' hooves. And yeah, so that's pretty much what it's been. Yeah, they are. They're very. They've only got one toe though. Like that's. Or do they have two? I don't know. How does a hoof work?
I don't know. I'm not big on I don't know the horse anatomy. Sorry, I should derailed that.
Horses are fast relative to other horses, not to humans. Anyway, yeah. So Graham's course has been awesome for me. I actually have been really enjoying. So like the workout component is great, but like I'm up at like this morning I'm up at 4:30 and then come down here at 5 and read the email, like just to download some information into my brain, and then check out the workout. The workout goes for about 20-ish minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. And it's like very basic, simple stuff. But like my feet have been feeling like they've been getting a massive workout. I've been jumping in my barefoot shoes. Sorry, I was looking up because my barefoot shoes are right above me on the shelf. I've been wearing them so much more, and I can actually notice that there's something that's happening with my feet, like not only the control, but the actual strength of my big toes and just the ability to be able to move them more frequently and get better quality movement from them is definitely something that I've seen. And it's like there's a lot of things that I knew about the program, like some of the exercises that Graham's been putting in there, but then there's a lot that I didn't know either. And so it's a great way to kind of, in my opinion anyway, it's a great way to kick off if you're struggling with some foot pain or toe pain or even ankle pain, and that I think it's very, very beneficial. So whoever listens to this one, check out Graham Tuttle's program. I'm doing it right now. So, and I'm really, really enjoying it. For someone who's got pretty beat up feet, it's really, really cool.
Have you noticed your toes gotten thicker?
I'm actually noticing the separation between my big toe, or let's just use my hands, for example, my big toe and the rest of my feet and toes. Like it is starting to open up a little bit more, and I'm definitely getting a lot more strength through the sole of my feet too. So like, for example, I still am. Actually, no, I'm not. I was flat-footed when I was a kid, like severely pronated, and there was just nothing there. And my parents unknowingly just threw me into those really thick, stiff orthotics, and haven't worn them since. And now, like, I have an arch. Like, there is an arch there. Even my sister came over the other day, and she's like, "Oh, your feet don't look that bad anymore." I'm like, "Oh, thanks. Like, you're so kind. You're so kind." You know, but like, I actually have an arch in my feet now, which has developed over time, and it's through me, you know, using my feet more and actually strengthening the sole of my feet. Whether it's through doing, like, subconsciously doing arch builders, or just actually moving my feet and my toes more and getting them out of cleats, soccer boots for those Aussie people listening, and allowing my feet to actually do the work that they're designed to do. Like, it makes so much sense when you start doing it. You've been conditioned one way to be like, no, like, that's it. I don't know if you saw, they, just going on a little bit of a tangent here, but they developed some barefoot or wide toe box soccer cleats, footy cleats. I just saw on a sponsored, it's like Instagram was listening to me, which they probably do. A sponsored ad just came up for these barefoot soccer, not soccer. There was turf, grass, and then like actual like sneakers that you can use for basketball and that have been developed. I don't know. Have you seen them?
I think if we're thinking of the same company, I think they reached out to me and we talked a little bit, but I don't think they've gotten back to me since the last time I talked to them. It's an interesting idea. That was, I don't know how I feel about it. I would have to get them in and try them. The problem, and don't tell them I said this, but the pictures I've seen are terribly, terribly ugly. Like, I'm sure they're just sample colorways, and like they'll smooth out like the actual build of the cleat and the shape. But oh man, I have a hard time getting me to wear them around my buddies.
The green ones? Were they green ones?
Like
green and black,
green and blue and yellow. Yeah. But so that aside, which shouldn't matter to me, but inevitably it does. The idea is, I'm not, as someone who talks about feet and ankles a lot and the importance of your toes working, I'm not as big of a fan of the concept as I think a lot of people are. So I think I'm actually less high on it than you are. So I see cleats as performance shoes. Like, it would be like if you had a big test up, and again, not condoning this, like you had a big test in university and you took an Adderall or something. Like, obviously it's not good for you, but you'll probably do better on the test because you're like locked in. So are cleats good for you? No, but does that shape of having your foot locked into an exact position where it doesn't slide, doesn't move around, you have a really consistent striking surface, you know when you cut, there's not going to be any movement of your foot in there. Some people even think when you're like, there's people who think that when your feet are smushed together, you actually run faster because of the physics of you're putting your force into a smaller area on the ground. So maybe you run marginally faster. True or not, I don't know. In the physics sense, it makes sense, but how much faster, I don't know. So
it kind of sounds like a horse almost.
Yeah.
It's coming down to one.
I mean, it's
one point.
Well, back to the horses again. Yeah. It's like lying on a bed of nails versus lying on one nail. But in that sense, it would be like lying on a huge bed of nails versus a slightly smaller bed of nails. Like, is it going to hurt more? I don't know how much of a difference it really makes. Maybe at the top levels of sprinting, then it could make a difference. But I don't know that I
may interject. I have recently, over the last couple of months, and it's because of you kind of talking about this fact of like the football boots performance versus like let's just use longevity of the foot as an example, or the proper function of a foot. It makes sense to be in those tighter types of shoes, but there's absolutely no reason why you can't, get out of them and let your feet do what they're designed to do. It's inevitable that we're going to be in football boots, and most people prefer to have tight boots compared to ones that are loose, because you don't have that connection with the ball, you don't have that connection with the ground or with the floor, because if they're too big or you've got too much move around in, like you just said, you feel like a clown, but your foot will slip and slide all over the place as well, and then that can potentially lead to more injury, because that's actually how I did my first ACL. I stepped down on the grass and went to go turn. My foot got caught in the grass, but my foot actually slid with my inside my soccer boot, because it was a little bit big, and so it just slid and then got stuck. Whether that is actually how I did my ACL or not, there's a whole bunch of other things that caused that too. But since then, it's just been about having tighter boots, because, and I know that it's not good for my feet to have that. And clearly, if you looked at them, they tell a story. But having the tightness of the boot or your foot tight, it feels different when you've got big boots. You're trying to control the ball. So for performance, it's just basically for performance. I feel now, having listened to you and having done my own research and looked up a whole bunch of things and actually experienced it myself. I remember when I would have, bigger boots, and even if I'd wear double socks, I was not a fan of double socks, because I lost that connection, and the squishiness was just didn't feel comfortable. It didn't feel nice, even though I looked like Cristiano Ronaldo did, but it didn't make me play. It didn't make me play maybe one game, but it didn't make me play like him. But that tightness of the boot just gave me that feel of I've got more control when I'm playing, because I can actually feel the connection of the ball rather than it being, all soft and puffy. And yeah, that was a bit of a tangent, but yeah, I'm on the same page as, I think, on a similar page to what you are at the moment. I think you've probably experienced it a little bit more, having, still played relatively recently in comparison to myself. So yeah, just to interject.
Yeah, even at a higher level, you're only wearing them for 2 hours a day. So the other 22 hours, you can far and away undo the damage, maybe, that you would call it, that the cleats, the boots do. And where I notice the biggest difference is if I'm trying to juggle in my Vivos with the ball versus trying to juggle in a pair of my Mercurials. It looks like I never juggled the ball before in my life when I'm wearing
there you
Vivos.
go.
Because I never know where in the shoe my foot's going to be. I know where my foot is, but I never know where it's going to hit my yeah. So I haven't tried it. I couldn't tell you what it's going to be like. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll be tight through the heel and then through the forefoot or midfoot. I don't know and then the toe box will just be wide, and it'll be the right width for your the the balls of your feet, and then it'd be cool. But I don't know that I see myself wearing them in the future, and unless they come out with a better colorway.
if they're listening, I think they've got that hint. They know better color, and it probably is just like a prototype or something like that. But
I think so.
I think a lot back to when I would play futsal or indoor soccer, and I wasn't wearing proper indoor soccer shoes. They were like these tight Adidas shoes, and at the time I was a size 8.5 US, and I was wearing they were like size 6. Like they were really, really, really tight and really small. But my ability to move around the court and to have that control over the ball, because I knew exactly where my foot was, even with toeies and all that sort of stuff, and it was like you needed to be quick. Whereas when you've got your foot in a bigger shoe and it feels a little bit more uncoordinated, like you said with the juggling, you don't know where that bit of the foot is going to be or that bit of the shoe is going to be. So it's like, is it going to slide on the ground or where does it sit in time and space? And it's such an interesting dynamic to dive down. Like, I'm sure that we could have a conversation about this for a really long time, but
it's like basketball. I mean, it's a different argument with something like basketball because you don't kick the ball. Like, as long as you're locked down enough that your foot doesn't slide in the shoe, does the effect of your toes being able to work outweigh the fact that you're putting force into the ground at this sort of a space versus here? I don't know. I don't know what the difference is there. So
Ben Patrick wearing his Zero shoes when he plays basketball,
he seems to be all right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's obviously done years and years of work on it, and that's understandable. But I agree with what you're saying with when it comes to that technical ability with your feet. It's almost like you need that narrowed shoe or approach to be able to gain better performance. And this is purely based in my experience, and I'm assuming it's based in your experience as well, where you've had, when I was a kid and I had bigger shoes or bigger, because your parents are getting your shoes because they don't want you to outgrow your shoes too quick or your cleats too quick. So it's like, we're going to get you bigger ones. They're going to last for the whole season. I remember one season I went through 4 pairs of boots. They were the original Hypervenoms, and they were the most comfortable boots that I've ever worn in my life. But man, did they break really, really, really easily. And I even went through a pair of Tiempos as well, and the sole just ripped off on them. I must have been really, really heavy footed. I don't know. Maybe it was a bad batch. 4 times I got a bad batch of a boot. And and that's the other thing too. We were talking before about the colorway of the boot coming out. And could you imagine a young kid sees this? It's just like they're looking at it and they go, and then they've got the Mercurial, or they've got a Predator or something like that. That's in the other hand. It's like, no, this looks really, really good. And then mum and dad are like, but this is going to be good for your foot. And it's like, but Messi wears this and Mbappe wears this and, Mo Salah wears this. I'm just going to drop that one in there and I'm sure you know why.
No idea why.
Of course. Typical. No, we'll leave that for a bit later. But you know what I mean? Okay. You've got the look of this boot that, and this is not even talking in colorway. I'm talking about the physical makeup of the boot. You're looking at them hand in hand. It's like, well, that looks like what a football player wears, and that does not. That looks like, I don't know what it looks like. So I think the idea is great, but they're already starting from way behind the pace. They're way off the pace already, and they're going to have to try and make up a lot of ground. So they have to have a lot of success stories really, really early to be able to make this a viable option.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine if I rolled up to training and something like that. I mean, I would have gotten abused. And it's like, if you would have told me 5 or 7 years ago, you're like, these cleats they're ugly, but they're really good for your toes. Like, get that out of here, dude. What are you talking about? No, get that out of my face. So it's sort of a weird idea, and it's hard to comment on if you never tried it. And I've never tried it. You haven't tried it. I've tried wearing wider boots, but inevitably they're too wide for me, and I slip around. So it's nearly impossible to get one that's wide enough in the toe box, but still locked down in the rest of the cleat. So I don't.
What about your leather versus synthetic? Like if we're talking about boots here, just any boot in particular, like if you had your Mercurials and they were a leather boot compared to synthetic, what would you prefer? Or just any boot, leather versus synthetic? I'm
a synthetic because I hate when they're too wide.
Yeah.
So I have 2 pairs of Mercurials still. Is what I wear. Every time I've gotten a pair of leather ones, they were awesome at the beginning, and then they stretched out, and then the length was still right, but the weight were too wide. I had to send them back. So I love the idea of leather. Like, it's really soft and nice to wear, but it just doesn't work for my foot. And maybe it would now. Maybe my foot's wider now. Then look at my foot. Maybe it got a little bit wider, but I always wore really narrow boots, and synthetic was the way to go because once they were broken in, I knew they were never going to change, and they would be exactly the same every time I put them on.
Yeah.
You seem like a leather kind of guy. I gotta say it. Yeah.
Yeah. I experienced all of it. And there was a period there where I would have synthetic boots, and they were fine for my foot. It was more so the Hypervenom was a different type of synthetic. It wasn't like a real stiff, rigid mercurial synthetic. It was really strange. Awesome. It stretched. Yeah, it stretched my foot. It was fantastic. But I reckon there were a lot of people that sent their boots back because they kept breaking. And I had the soles rip off. I had the side of it just completely. My foot just almost flew out through the side of the boot. Had all sorts of crap happen to them, but they were so comfortable. Then
I had 3 of them just totally implode at different times, totally different within the span of 2 years, maybe.
Yeah. So I ended my career with leather boots. I guess it was appropriate. You're getting older. You're moving towards the that more appropriate style of boot for your age. And it was comfort. I was get close. I did have them when I was younger. I actually had them, but the same thing happened. The leather was so soft, and I got them smaller for me that they just ripped. Because they were so soft. But I finished on the Pumas. I had those old school, the Diego Maradona ones, the black with the white on the side. Yeah, I tried to make them look as fancy as I could. I tuck the tongue in underneath, and
you can't make those look fancy. I gotta
tell you. I didn't play like Diego Maradona, but they were probably one of the comfiest boots to end on. I did have some pretty comfy boots throughout my time. There was obviously the Hypervenoms were seriously comfortable. The CTRs, Nike CTRs, we actually won a pair of them. We went to a national tournament in Sydney. It was in New South Wales. It wasn't actually in Sydney. It was in a place called Coffs Harbour. And Nike Australia came out, and they were they were promoting their new stuff, and we had to answer. So there was how many teams? I reckon there was about 12 teams there per age group, and you had to answer these questions. You had 10 questions, and whoever got 10 out of 10 had won a free pair of boots. And it was the new CTRs had just come out. Then you had the new Mercurials had come out. There were the Tiempos, and then there was one more pair of boots. I can't remember what the other one was. Anyway, we had these two twins on our team, and these guys were freaking geniuses. They knew everything there was to know about soccer, and they were all soccer questions. So it was who won the first ever World Cup, or who won this year in the World Cup? Was it, I think, 94 or something like that? And how many goals has this person scored? And they just knew absolutely everything. We got 10 out of 10. We got a free pair of boots, and we all chose the CTRs, bar about, I think, 2 or 3 people. And these things, they were called K-Lite. which was like a synthetic kangaroo leather. Man, they were so comfortable. And then they vanished again.
They were gone.
Nike does, just keep the tempo and the mercurial, and then the rest, let's just have a play around and see what else there is.
I had a pair of CTRs. They were awesome. They were really, really good. And then I grew out of them, and they were gone by then. So it was like I had a lot of Adidas in college because that's who we were sponsored by. So we would get 2 pairs of Adidas cleats every year. And then if they broke, you bring them back, they get you new ones. So I tried all of the Adidas cleats, and I didn't like any of them.
I gotta say, man, you Americans and Adidas, I never quite understood that, and Nike, I'm a little bit more on board with it, but Adidas, Adidas.
You say Adidas.
No,
it's probably right. I'll give you that it's right, but I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to say about it. To be fair, Nike is an American company, and I think they say it Nike, so we'll call it 1-1 there.
Yeah,
and Puma instead of Puma.
Yeah, Puma. There ain't no Puma here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you guys have Pumas in Australia? Like the animal?
No.
The cat, yeah. Oh, well, then you have no right to determine how.
America is a big country. We got you guys don't deserve our kangaroo leather then for the boot. Not that you're going to wear them anyway, so it doesn't really matter, to be completely honest. But we won't give you our K leather.
That's fair. I'll make that trade. You guys keep the spiders, and you can have the kangaroo leather yourself.
Speaking of which, when are you coming over, Matt? Come on, man.
As soon as you guys get rid of those spiders, man.
Yeah,
no.
It's not.
I was talking to who was I talking to the other day? I think Pierce Townsend. I think he's in Australia. Or no, he's in Ireland. I was talking to somebody in Australia the other day, and they were saying there's like parts where there's big spiders and there's parts where there aren't. There isn't in Australia.
There's probably still spiders, but you just can't see them. They're not as big. Like
like anything smaller than like this, I'm fine with. Once they start to look like this is when I have a problem.
Those ones, those little small ones, they're usually the ones that can kill you. The other big ones just look big and scary and hairy. So I don't know. It depends. Just weigh it up, man. Whatever you want.
I'm cool with neither of them, to be fair. Like I'll take a trip to the Arctic Circle or something just to stay out of. That's what I don't. We're getting way off topic here, but I don't like spiders and I don't like centipedes.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember you speaking about
those are the 2 things I don't like. I can deal with snakes. I can deal with lizards. I can deal with kangaroos. I'm sure you.
Kangaroo and snake. Kangaroo. I was going to say kangaroos they're definitely not more dangerous than snakes. We've got some pretty. You
have some gnarly snakes.
Potent snakes out here. There's some big ones. I live very close to Adelaide, which is the city, the center of South Australia. My parents live like probably 25 to 30 minutes away from the city center. And they're like in the foothills, which for you guys would be kind of called like the mountains almost. There's a similarity. Mountains are probably bigger than the hills. They definitely are bigger than the hills than we've got here, but it's like very green and lots of trees, lots of like dirt and bark and all that kind of stuff. And they would get everything out there. Like they would have foxes running around, they'd have kangaroos, they'd have all sorts of things. And there was like big lizards, and then there's like the big bad snakes, the big brown snakes that would sometimes like slither on through, and it's like, that's why I moved. I'm not a fan of that sort of stuff. Like I can handle it, but I'm not getting too close to it. No way, that ain't happening for me.
No, I don't. There's like we get like the little hairy centipedes that are like they can only get like this big, and like that's plenty for me. And there's a spider every once in a while, but if you look real hard, there's snakes, but rabbits, foxes, coyotes. Here's where we get really off topic. The funniest video, one of the funniest videos I've ever seen on YouTube was Lex Friedman and John Danaher talking about who would win in a fight between a bear, a lion, and a gorilla.
Ooh.
So you know Lex Friedman? Do you know Lex Friedman?
I've heard of the name.
He does the
before.
podcast. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so John Danaher is the top jiu-jitsu coach in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so he coaches like Gordon Ryan and I think they call it the Death Squad.
Mm-hmm.
The best jiu-jitsu athletes in the world. And then he worked with like George St. Pierre and did his camps. So unbelievable coach, but one of the funniest guys ever because he's like absolutely deadpan with everything, like 100% serious. Like he doesn't have Wi-Fi in his house because he thinks just like the 5G is good enough, so he's got no Wi-Fi. But just had this ridiculous knowledge of like these stats about bears and gorillas and lions. Like Lex Friedman was listing off like a male lion can get up to this size. Lex is like, man, that's a big lion. They're usually within this range. Like, who? You're a jiu-jitsu coach. What do you know this for? And they got, it was like two scientists going in depth on it. It was one of the funniest things ever. So I'll send you the link. You'll get it's like 40 minutes long. But from an Australian, who would win in a fight, a gorilla, a lion, or a grizzly bear? Like a large grizzly bear from the States.
Mm. I don't know. Are we going based on temperament here as well? Like, or is it just?
I think it's locked in a cage.
Locked in a cage. All right. Well, I think the lion is done because it can only use its mouth really.
It's got the claws.
Yeah, it does have the little. It's got little pussycat claws. I know, but
I don't know if that's what I'd call them, but they.
Well, in comparison to a bear, that thing's got claws.
Those are some claws. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I'm leaning towards a gorilla. I think purely based on speed and strength. So like
interesting.
That thing can move. We're talking about like a silverback gorilla, like that's what we're talking about here. Big gorilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel. Yeah. Now I'm going based on temperament as well. I'm just gonna pull trigger and say gorilla. I think anyway. I think gorilla. You?
I'm pretty firmly on bear.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I mean, I've had the opportunity to listen through and hear some pretty great arguments about it, but like a gorilla can't even like ball its fist up. Like, so everything it's gonna hit you with is gonna hit you like this. Like, it's just gonna be slapping you.
That's a pretty hard part of your hand.
I know, versus like getting slashed.
Getting slashed. Yeah. I know. I was thinking about Donkey Kong. I was just thinking about Donkey Kong, just like. That's what was coming into my mind.
You got to get something on the ground before you can pound it like that. But and the bears have those crazy teeth. I mean, so do gorillas, but like gorillas don't. Another thing I learned: gorillas don't actually fight to the death in the wild.
Oh, okay. So we're going based on temperament. All right. I didn't
know
that.
That. This is going on skill level. This was one of the things that was brought up. It was hilarious. It's skill level.
Okay.
So how good is a gorilla at fighting to the death? Not very good because it never fights to the death. It's more of like a show of power. Lions kill like elephants and stuff. So it's pretty adept, and they play fight all the time. Gorillas don't really play fight with each other beyond their use, I guess. And I don't know about bears, but bears kill some pretty significant animals, like a buffalo or a moose. Gorillas are like vegetarians.
I've seen some pretty angry gorillas, man.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure when they're angry, they're formidable, but
Well, locked in a cage, had to survive. Like yeah. I don't think they're ever going to try this. So that's why it's kind of left up to hips, butts, and coconuts, But
apparently there's some ancient like Roman writings about animals fighting. But apparently, I guess I don't think they ever put like a bear and a gorilla in the same cage in like the amphitheaters with like gladiators.
Yeah,
I think they probably fought like bears and lions separately. I don't know about gorillas; it'd be kind of hard to get, but
yeah, that might be a bit hard.
I don't know.
Let's go further on that. The Romans, we're going to go circle back to the feet again, but like waltzing around on rocks and dirt and mud and all that kind of stuff with no shoes on. I mean, and the sandals that they would presumably wear. Do you think that everything's kind of it's almost splitting into two now? So you're kind of going one way where everyone's just walking on clouds, and then you're going the complete opposite direction. There's definitely no real in between. You're either here or here. Do you feel like that's what's happening at the moment? Like we've gone on such a trajectory. I guess that's been happening now me talking about it out loud, I guess that's what's happening in general at the moment. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think the difference with the sort of ancient times, I guess you could call it, is there was no concrete, and there was no hardwood floors. So you're constantly walking on things that are softer than a lot of things we walk on now. So, not to say that they were walking on in hokas all the time, but it's a little softer than what we were running on now. And I would imagine they spent a lot of time in dirt and grass and areas like that. Like if they're in, I don't know what the weather in Italy is like and the rest of that area of Europe that they conquered, but I think they would have been somewhere like it's a little bit different, but yeah, I mean, so to answer your question, I guess I think people do tend to fall into one category or the other, and the category of these are more comfortable for my feet is significantly larger. And there's a few people that are like you and me. It's like, well, this is good for my feet. I'll wear these uncomfortable shoes. Uncomfortable until you get used to them, and then other shoes become uncomfortable. But it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess to answer your follow-up question, a lot of things are kind of going like that as sort of the uncommon success thing, like quit eating McDonald's and Snickers bars, and not because it doesn't taste good, but because it's not what's best for you. So it is a little bit odd that things are kind of coming to a divide like that. And then there's a lot of other areas that things are splitting off into one direction or the other. So it is interesting to see the kind of dichotomy that a lot of things are becoming.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a phone call with Keegs the other day. We had a chat about a lot of things. You talking about uncommon success and then like what's comfortable and not actually brought this up. And Keegs at the moment has been really talking about like the athletically using that, can you do this? Can you handstand? Can you do push-ups, pull-ups, or like all this kind of stuff, whatever it is, one arm chin-ups and all that. But that's like your business card. You being able to do that, that's like a physical business card. Can you do this? Can you handstand walk? Can you squat, 100 kilos? Or it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but it's like athletically you can do a whole bunch of things. And what's really cool, which I've been understanding more and more of now, is uncommon success to become an uncommon success or to be known as an uncommon success. It's like they are the things that you need to do to be able to be an uncommon success in the world at the moment, because there hasn't really been a template of like do this, do this, do this, do this. And it's not to say that that's what uncommon success is giving you, but it's like it's giving you an option to be able to go, or like to choose between your athletic richer smarter through the masterminding and the connections that you make as well. Like can you 5-ball juggle? Well, this is where you're going to be able to get to in Uncommon Success. And then there's all these other things that are happening because of that, like brain-wise, your ability to be able to connect the dots quicker, to connect to things better, to your reaction time, handstands, having that internal and integral strength. And then learning from people like Paul Council. And anyway, we're having this phone call, bit of a tangent there, but we're having this phone call, and he asked me this question, and in simple terms, it was like, are you comfortable at the moment? Like, I sat there and thought for a little bit. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I am pretty comfortable, and like it felt good to feel comfortable, because it's like, well, the mortgage is going well, and the relationship that I have with money is great, because, like, I just feel comfortable. There's these things coming in and things are happening, and health wise, like, everything is great. And yeah, man, I'm feeling, and now I think about it, I'm feeling comfortable. It's yeah. It's like, okay, that's not good. I'm like, oh, what do you mean? And then, like, understanding that, and it was great, because I actually had Zach Horsey, he was listening in on the call. We were doing it on Discord, and he was listening in on the call. We were talking about it, and it really hit me. I'm like, but this whole time, like, I've been feeling so good, because, everything feels like it's in this little box, and it's all nice and beautiful. And then I'm like, oh yeah, actually now I get it. Oh shit. All right. And then you so afterwards, I was on the phone with Keegs for about 45 minutes, maybe a little bit less. And then I text Zach, and because he was listening to the conversation, I was like, I want to hear your perspective on this. Like, what did you think about the conversation? And he called me, and we're on the phone for about an hour and 10 minutes. We're just talking about it, like, with this and with that, and then understanding, like, how to get yourself back out of your comfort zone, because you don't want to be staying comfortable, because if you're comfortable, comfort kills. Like, if you're comfortable in this one little spot, you can't go outside your bubble, you can't change, you can't grow. Like, there's a whole number of things that are happening. And I was talking with Zach about it, and I was like, oh, far out. Like, I felt like I had no way of understanding it. But then that hour phone call was like, all right, well, okay, this is what's next. This is what I got to do. And then you're just finding these new ways to be able to not recreate yourself, but create these opportunities to make yourself more uncomfortable, whether it's in a physical sense or it's in a business sense or marketing or whatever it is. And just realizing that, it's like, okay, now today I feel more uncomfortable, because it's like, I've got all these things, but it's like, you got to do them. It was a really, really, really interesting conversation that we had. It was awesome.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is when people break some belief that I had, like, or even just remind me of something that I kind of put on the back burner in terms of, like, thoughts about work and stuff. Like, that's one of my favorite things. Or in anything, really, relationships with people, or working hard, diet, lifting, anything like that. Like, when somebody breaks the way you thought, it'll be uncomfortable. But then you really think about it, it's like, man, yeah, like there's somebody described it as a ladder. Like, there's different parts of a ladder, and if you have a belief that isn't serving you, like, you can't use that part of the ladder. Whether that's the actual, like, one of the two posts of the ladder, and, like, the ladder doesn't work without posts, or it's one of the rungs that you can't keep walking past unless you have that rung. And sometimes you just need somebody to put that rung back in, or put the side on the ladder back on, and then it's like, oh, then you can whistle up 20 steps until you have another block there. So that's one of my favorite things. And for me, that being uncomfortable like that is like, that's why I keep taking on more things right now, which might not be the best idea. It'd probably be smarter to just take one and, like, really dive into it. But, like, somebody else said it. I don't remember who it was, but it was like I'm 23. Like, why not see how much stuff I can do at one time? Like, why not see how much I can take on? Like, it's like jump on opportunities. And again, it's probably smarter if I just take one thing and run with it and spend all my time on it. But I don't know, like see how strong I can get, see how much time I can spend, see how much money I can make, see how many people I can help. All, like, why not push the limits of that? And only when you find the limits, then it's like, all right, dial it back and figure out where. And I haven't found the limit yet, so
yeah. That's the interesting part. It's like, but how do you know? You don't know until you've done the thing. So like you can hypothesize and think about it, like, oh, this is going to be too much for me. I'm just not going to do it. Or you can actually do it and be like, well, that actually wasn't as bad as what I thought it was going to be. So that means I can do more. Like, and you keep finding your limits. I did that it was either May or June. I can't remember which one it was. I did 100 calls for the Uncom 25 for the month. And that, like the first 2.5 weeks, it was, mate, I was on fire. Like, it just couldn't stop me. I was having 4-hour sleeps because I was going to bed at like 11:30 or 12 o'clock because I was on phone calls, and then getting up at 4:30 to get to work, and just pushing myself constantly. And then it hit a point where it was like the final week or the final week and a half. And I was like, I'm mentally broken. Like, I was just physically, mentally, and emotionally just kaput. That was it. And it's like, well, I remember speaking with Keegan about this, Keegan and Lyndon actually as well. And we were like, well, you know where your limit is now, don't you? It's like, yeah, I know. But the only way you know is by doing the thing. And Zach and I talk about this a lot. It's like, there's like, just do the thing, man. Do the thing. Ask the question and do the thing. That's all you got to do. You know, like whatever that thing is, just do it. And there's nothing that's stopping you from doing it. There might be some physical limitations, but everything else is like, just do the thing. Whatever that thing is, just do it. And then if you don't know, ask questions. I can't tell you how many times I've either gotten like business or cleared up a conversation and gained clarity just by asking a question. And like, I've had to ask that question multiple different ways to get the answer that computes in my brain, rather than it like making sense to them. It needs to make sense to me. And then understanding that if I ask a question to someone, so if I ask you a question, you might just go like, I have no idea what the hell he's talking about right now. Like, I don't understand. But then I need to ask it in a different way, or I might need to show you, or I might need to explain it to you, or I might need to use my hands, or like, we're all different learners. We're all different personalities. We're all these different weird, wacky things. It's like, just because it makes sense to me is not mean that it's going to make sense to you. And understanding that and communication, like developing your communication is, in my opinion, paramount to everything else. If you have the ability to communicate and connect with lots of different people and network with lots of different people, you're able to not feed off of them, but you're able to actually gain an appreciation, understanding for where they're coming from and different perspectives. That's what that 100 calls taught me. It's like, everyone's different. I connected with some people. I didn't connect with others. Was there a reason? Probably. But you have the ability to build your own communication through doing things that are uncomfortable, through communicating with people. You know, initially it was uncomfortable, but now it's just like, hey, I'll jump on it. You were actually the first person, man. Like, you were the first person that I had done it with. I'm being serious. When we did the Instagram lives, like, that was the first time. I'm doing this because it makes me feel uncomfortable as hell. So I'm just going to do it, and did it. And now we are where we are. You know, where it's not like it's an incredible, or in our eyes, it's an awesome podcast that we got going on. It's, if we're to compare to anything else, which I'm not comparing to what we were previously, we're doing awesome. You know, so it's like, compared to where you were before, far out. Look at us go. We're crazy. So yeah, I think that there's a lot to be said for doing things that make you feel uncomfortable. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many problems that can just be fixed by doing the thing. And that for so long, it was, for me, it was like, just do something. Like, so many ideas, but like nothing actually happened. And then I finally was like, all right, I'm just going to do something, like get something out, get something going, actually work on it and finish it and to get things out. Whether that's finding a way to set external timeframes on it. Like, when me and Keegan first came up with the social media course, it was like, all right, start at the beginning of next month. It was like the the 11th or something, or the 15th. Like, all right, it starts at the end of next month. I was like, oh man, I have like 2 weeks to do this. I have 2 weeks to sell all the spots and get the information started. And it was like, well, I guess I better get started. Like, I don't know, like, just do it. And it turned out fine. Like, I sold more spots than I thought I would. Like, I have gotten all the information out. I'm still putting it together in some sense, but like and now, like, I tell people that all the time, like, people in the course, people outside of it, they're like, I have this idea, but I'm waiting because I want to get this done. I was like, man, just do it. Like, I'm not like the gentlest person when it comes to this, because I wouldn't, and I mean, obviously it depends on the person, but like, I didn't need somebody to be like gentle with me. I needed somebody to be like, Jesus, man, you are being an idiot right now. Like, just go do some shit. Like, but I want to think about this. Like, that's just an excuse. Like, shut up. Like, that, like, it's Keegan. That's basically what Keegan said to me a couple times. Like, and he's much nicer about it to me. But I would have been like, Jesus, man, like, shut up and go do something. Like, all you're doing is thinking, and all you need to be doing is doing right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people stuck in that.
Well, it comes to if we're thinking, or we're talking personality wise as well, or we can talk about the way that people learn to, like, some people need a gentle push. Some people just need to be told what to do, when to do it, where to go. Some people are a mixture of both. And then there's another lot of people that do it in a completely different way. And it's challenging because sometimes some people know what they need to do, but they lack guidance. Some people know what they need to do, but they just can't be bothered doing it. And it's like, you got to try and figure out where you're sitting and what kind of little push that you need to do it. You know, like, I don't think it's got anything to do with motivation or anything like that. Like, it's either you want to do it or you don't. And actually one person or group of people, that I think have done an epic job at building a business is Luke and Acacia on the farm gym. So they use the Myers-Briggs. Like, it's not saying, like, and people get all wrapped up in like a label or an icon, like, I am this now, and I can't, like, move outside of that. It's like, no, you need to have that flexibility to be able to understand other perspectives and blah, blah, blah. But Luke and Case, they use the Myers-Briggs for their business. And what they've done is, when people come to them because they want to work, or if they have gone and, you know, want people to work for them, they get them to do the Myers-Briggs. And I think the DISC as well. And it's not saying that they are they are this person, but they've got these type of traits. So it's like, okay, this is the type of, whether you're an ENFP or an INFJ or whatever else there is out there, like, there's 16 different personalities, but in the Myers-Briggs anyway. But you've got, like, so this is what you are more of. All right, so if that's what you're more of, then we're going to get you to do that, because we know more often than not that that's exactly what you're going to be good at. So go and do that. And you kind of let them go and do their thing. And then you've got other people that are more like this and other people that are more like that. And then it all just works for some magical reason. I mean, it works magically because it works. Like, it's getting them to do what they want to do. You know, that's what their personality is yearning for. And you just let that flow. And to be part of one of their meetings that they had, it just, you could literally see it. You could see it all unfold in front of your eyes. And it's like, okay, yeah, that person is that person is that. And it's like, it's not like you're labeling them, but you know what, like, the way that you can approach them in a conversation, or the way that you can talk with them about things, or you can be a little bit more direct and say, no, we need this then. Yep, cool, got it, let's go. Or you got people that are like, just like to be a little bit more flamboyant about the way that they talk and they move, and they're like, don't worry about it, man. Like, it's all right. It's all like that sort of stuff. For some people, that pisses people off, because it's like, you don't get it. We got to do it now. And then other people's like, no, like, just, it'll get done. Just relax. Or we need to have this many and that many. And it's got to be done now with this time. It's like, it's got to be all precise. That stuff there, I find so interesting. I'm actually doing it for a lot of my new clients that are coming on. I'm getting them to do like a personality type test, because for me, it gives me a good indication. Like, they're obviously coming to me because they either enjoy what we're doing together, they're seeing benefits, which is another big thing as well. Or there might be some other reason along with all that. But if I can get to know them better, then I can get to know them better, and maybe what they want to achieve, or maybe what they enjoy doing, or maybe what they want to do. And it might be something that I can offer them. Because if I have them coming to me and I'm not giving them everything that I can offer them, then we're kind of missing, there's a missing link somewhere. So how can we actually do that? Well, I think it's through like understanding what type of personality they are. Like, I'm just getting them to do a personality quiz, and it's more often than not, it's relatively accurate. Like, it might be 70 to 80% accurate, but it's more accurate than not knowing at all. So it's really interesting when you talk about that sort of stuff, about how you learn, or people that you learn from, or the best way for you to learn. That stuff gets me talking.
Yeah, it's like understanding how you kind of work and how things shake out. Like, if you want to see like a visual representation of like what my mind kind of looks like, it's this whiteboard. It's blurred out right now, but like, that's what, if you were to look into my head, that's kind of what it looks like. So that, for me, I have to understand that, like, I need something. I like external, like, stops has to be done by here. It's one of the best ways for me to like shake out all the things I have in my head. Like a good example would be like if you were like doing like archaeology or something, that you were like digging up bones and like artifacts, like you could just have like all of this sand, like this huge area, and like you could just like dig through it all day and like find new things. But like, or you could just take it all and put it into a, like, just grab like sifters and just like shake it out and things will come out. You might not get everything, but like it's a hell of a lot faster. And like now you have something to go off of. And you can come back and you can grab more things. But so I know for myself, like I'm always telling myself to do more and think less, because that's what I need. And some people are just like go, do things. And in a sense, I guess I have to tell myself not to do that, because I like to do things, but sometimes I end up doing things that aren't the most productive, like cleaning my room or like whatever. So it's like there's a constant balance of do things, but do the high value things, and like quit thinking about like what doesn't matter as much. Like, so I mean, there's so many things that go into kind of optimizing yourself, and it depends on what state your head's in at that point. Like, there's some times where I'm in like the let's go, let's do all of the high value things. And there's other times where it's like, man, I just want to, if I'm gonna do something, it's just like clean my room. Like, I don't want to actually do the really hard thinking. And I think the personality types would definitely help with that, because it'll give you and people in general probably aren't very good at explaining to you the way that they think and act in the world. So maybe I'm not giving you the best information about me, but maybe if I took a test, you'd see something different.
Yeah, I think that it's like we obviously have some connection, you and I, because we speak each other's language, and that's what it's about. Like, we both speak English, but you might understand me better than someone else does, and the same with myself to you in comparison to someone else. But that's where I see the personality testing stuff as a really good way to start speaking another person's language. Like I said before, you've got some people that need to be nurtured and cared for and guided, and other people that just need to have like the straight and narrow and be like, that's what I want you to do. Can you speak their language? You know, it goes back to coaching in soccer. You have the coach that was just, and there's a reason why some players would flourish under this particular coach and why others wouldn't. And this particular coach might yell and scream and get you to do a whole heap of runs and all this other crazy sort of stuff. And there's some players that just love it, and other players that are just like, nah, I'm not checking, especially now. I mean, probably when we were maybe back in our father's era, or my father's era, it was just like, and that's probably what turned off a lot of players too. And that's why the generation of football that's in Australia is like, it's not the greatest standard here if we're comparing to the best leagues in the world, like, and this is my opinion, and I'm not saying that I can do it better because I clearly can't, but in my opinion, you go to, and I'm not even saying the English Premier League is the best league in the world. Like, it's obviously dependent on what you like to see. If you like to see goals, well, then maybe the English Premier League is. If you like to see football, well, maybe the German or the Spanish league is or maybe even the Italian league for goals. Like, there's no one thing that's good, in my opinion, but it's valued based upon, like, so money, for example, with the English Premier League, the amount of cash that's just dropped on like within the English Premier League, that's what people are basing it being the best league in the world, because it generates the most income. But then you have a look at German league teams like Bayern Munich, or most of the German teams aren't in debt at all. Like, they just don't have debt, and their memberships for their members are like super, super cheap. They want people to be able to come to their games, and the way that people, and I could have this wrong, but I'm pretty confident I got it right, but there's no one sole owner for the club. So like the people basically own 51% of the club. I think this is with Bayern Munich. I don't know if it's any more, but they own 51% of the club, and then 49% is owned by the rest of the people. So it's like you're playing, and this is probably why England haven't won a World Cup in a long time, or won a Euro, or anything like that. Like, because there's not many English players playing, or top quality English players that are playing continuously in comparison to the Brazilians and the Italians and the Spanish and the French, and there's all these higher ranked players that are playing, and then you get to the World Cup, and it's just like, where are they? There's going to be a lot of English people that are probably going to hate on me for that, but I guess World Cups speak for themselves and Euros speak for themselves, so like results will talk more than anything that I'm saying right now. So it's, yeah, I went everywhere there, but going back to the coaching way and the talking way, like talking to people, actually being able to communicate well and understanding that not everyone is going to understand the way that you coach, the way that you talk. You got to be flexible in many, many different ways.
Yeah, probably Australia never won a Euro, right?
Yeah, that, and because we're not in the European Confederation, but like, even so,
excuse to me, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't. This is going to be really interesting. This World Cup, like, I'm not sure a European team is going to be doing as well as what most people think they'll probably do in this World Cup. And like, you can have all the air-conditioned stadiums in the world that you want to play in, but ultimately you're coming off the back of European summer, going into European autumn, and then winter, and then you're going back into the summertime again, but it's a different heat. It's not your usual European sit outside and tan and, have an Aperol and a cigarette and all that kind of stuff, but it's a different type of heat. And so I think that there's going to be a lot to say for the heat, A, and B, it being in season as well. There's going to be a lot of players who are like, I'm getting paid squillions of dollars playing for whoever they're playing for. I don't really want to play for my country just in case I get injured, because then it stuffs my chances up. And it's just like, but you're playing for your country, So I think, I don't know, this is a hunch. I reckon it's going to be an African or an Oceania team that'll potentially, go and do well in this World Cup. That's my thoughts on that. I don't know what you think.
So who's your finals? I won't ask you a winner. I'll give you the finals. So what two teams are going to make it?
Oh, that's a good question. Sadio Mane plays for Cameroon. Is it Cameroon he plays for?
Senegal, I think.
Senegal.
I think he's Senegalese. I think him.
Let's do this right now. 2022 Group World Cup. Let's have a look.
Yeah, so I mean, who are your top two teams besides the U.S.? Because we all know that they.
That's the best. Matthew. Let's have a look. I don't know what it's like for you guys in the US, but every time we, I talk to like someone who's Greek, and then they're paying me out because I'm of Italian heritage and all that. And they're like, yeah, where are you this World Cup? I'm like, yeah, where are you this World Cup? It's like, mate, we won the 2004 Euro against Portugal, okay? And it's like, you just group to that. I'm trying to find the groups. I can't find the groups because I'm not the best at searching for groups. But anyway, I reckon it'll be an African team. I reckon.
For you here.
There we go. That's. I'm not very good at. I wasn't never one to. Oh, hold on. Have I got it? No, they're the Asian qualifiers.
I'll give you the teams.
All right.
Group A is Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and the Netherlands. B, England, Iran, the eventual winners, the U.S., Wales. Group C is Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. D is France, Australia, Denmark, Tunisia. E is Spain, Costa Rica, Germany, Japan. F is Belgium, Canada, Morocco, Croatia. G is Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, Cameroon. H is Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and South Korea.
Oh, I've just got them up now as well because it took me forever to find it. You see, like I'm leaning towards an African and all right, I'll give you an African and a South American team who I think will be in the final. I'm going to go with This is challenging. This is challenging. Let's go with where are they? Yeah, I'm going to stick to my guns. All right, Cameroon. I feel Cameroon or Senegal, and Mexico.
Interesting.
Mexico or Uruguay. Yeah, all right, I gave you 4. I think that's pretty good. I've given you a group. Cameroon, Senegal, Mexico, or Uruguay. And like...
Interesting.
I don't know. Okay, what about you? I think you think the European teams...
I mean, if I had to pick 4, my 4, and I mean, these might just be the best 4 teams, but like Argentina, Brazil, France, and Belgium.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about teams that play in the hot, like Argentina and Brazil, it gets warm there. It gets warm for sure. And then just Belgium and France to just talk about how ridiculously talented the teams are. So,
I mean, we'll find out. We'll find out pretty soon. Just over a month.
I don't watch enough footy anymore to know who. Like I couldn't name the majority of any of these teams starting lineups. So.
Well, I mean, what we can do to finish off is we can have a chat about the footy that you probably did watch today, or maybe I don't know. Did you?
I was taking a nap or something. I wasn't. I had something going on. I didn't quite catch.
I actually haven't watched the highlights yet because I got up and it had finished and they hadn't put the highlights up yet, and I wasn't going to watch the whole game again. I just like going on and seeing the score, and when I saw that, I was like, today's chat's going to be interesting. But I gotta bring it up. Have you actually seen what's happened? Or
I caught the first half and then the last 15 odd minutes. I had a call in between, but it was a pretty horrible game to watch. From what I watched, like boring.
As a City supporter or as a football supporter?
just in general. Like it wasn't. I mean, one goal on a counter. There weren't a lot of great chances. City had a goal called off with the VAR. Apparently, I missed it, but I was told. And like, not like a lot of like really great chances. Maybe one or two, but like not. Very few hold your breath sort of somebody's going to score chances. So pretty lame,
very
to be fair.
Anticlimatical kind of game.
Except Klopp got sent off. That was hilarious. But...
yeah, I did actually see that. I did see that happen. I just was flicking through. I wanted to see the goal. Great counter-attacking goal. Horrible defending.
Just horrible defending. That's all it was.
Well, okay. All right. I know you're upset. Okay, I don't want you to cry.
All right, don't want me to start crying here. Yeah.
Man. Anyway,
unbelievable.
Let's leave it there for today. Just
I think so. We can go for an hour 15.
We have half of that was me trying to look for the groups.
And the other half was talking about horses. Yeah.
Oh wow! Anyway, Matty, where are they going to find you? Not talking about horses and the group for the World Cup.
Yeah, really. Score Performance, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. Now, Score SKAAR Performance. Anywhere that's fun. Steph, what about you?
Yeah, I'm still on Instagram, just Coach Carly with the 3 eyes. I've taken a massive break in posting at the moment, just in terms of value. Like, for me, Instagram hasn't been as valuable as important to me right now. So it's been really, really cool just to take a break, and I'll jump back into it pretty soon. I've just been popping up my handstands, getting my handstand reps in. So you'll see a little bit going on later on today.
You're getting good, bro.
Thanks, man.
I mean, way better than I am, but you'll be there soon, I'm sure.
Well, it's all in good time. All in good time. I can teach you some handstands. You can just teach me some squats. All those deadlifts you put up, actually, that looked pretty hectic.
Oh, the snatch grip deadlifts or the
yeah.
Man, horrible time. Horrible time. But yeah, anyway, we'll maybe we'll do an episode sometime in the gym, doing some lifts or something. That would be kind of a fun thing to do. Yeah, for sure. I like that. You can listen to me cry doing snatch grip podium deadlifts. Just yelling into the mic. That'd be a good one for listeners to listen to. All right. Well, we'll leave it here for today. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll be back next week with a special guest, and from then on out.